Hello, everybody. WeeB'S here, and welcome back to the Otaku Overload Podcast, episode 12. This is a very exciting episode because before we start, a milestone has happened, and I really want to congratulate Legend Jonathan for this. But just earlier today, after waiting, with anticipation to see when it would finally happen, my boy finally hit 100 subscribers on his channel. So everybody, if you're listening, give a big round of applause for Legend of Jonathan. That's really cool.
Thank you guys so much.
And yeah,
I'm
take it
so,
away. I was about to say, not only did I want to introduce that, but take it away. What are your thoughts? And tell the people how you plan to make celebrate and stuff.
I'm super happy about the fact that I hit 100 subscribers. Um, yeah, I'm just very happy because I started my channel I would say not that long ago, but then I really did because it was like 5 years ago or maybe even six by this point almost. And so I feel like I'm happy that I finally hit that milestone of actually getting to 100. And I'm just happy that people helped get me there, especially because in a moment of desperation, I did kind of ask some classmates. I'm like, "Hey, can you guys subscribe?" And then a friend of mine, he was like, I'm gonna help you out," and he helped so much, and that's what led to me getting to 100 subscribers, which made me super happy. So I'm very thankful that all these people have been helping me. In order to celebrate for the 100 subscriber milestone, I will replace my profile pic with a new one in celebration. Not only that, but I will be streaming just a random stream for 100 subscribers. I'll just do whatever in celebration. And lastly, the profile, I will just mention this real quick. Funny enough, it's a very upgraded version of the previous one. I use some sort of I think an AI thing that someone recommended to me, and it came out very fantastic. So that's what I'm gonna be doing. And yeah, it's the celebration that I'm gonna be doing, guys. So yeah, you know.
Very cool, very cool. So that's really cool to hear. I'm excited to see what your new profile picture is going to be and stuff. And yeah, just the fact that you hit 100, big ticks took a while, but like you said, the fact that you hit it is awesome. And
Mm-hmm.
let's just hope it goes better from there. It just keeps
Oh
going and grows and
yeah.
stuff. So that's awesome. With that being said, I know I was part of your week, but getting officially into the podcast now, why don't you take it away? What else did you do during this week besides, hitting 100 subscribers? What did you watch? What did you play?
As usual, I oh my god, it's always the same thing every week. I watched Urusei Yatsura, the new one. Um, what I thought was pretty cool is that basically this how do you call it? Oh yeah, this episode, it was about Mendo, that he has a rival that he's known since he was a kid. And this dude, he has very, very long hair. And he's a really weird creep because basically him and Mendo, they play baseball. That's their that's their sport basically. That's the way they fight against each other. And basically this dude, he was practicing supposedly for 10 years. And the freak, the thing he does is he eats the baseballs. He sucks at the sport. He doesn't know how to hit it or catch the ball or anything. But yeah, he can catch it with his mouth and he can swallow it and talk normal, and then he can throw it back out. It's really weird.
Yeah, I'm just trying to picture how to even think. What?
Yeah, somehow I even told 𝐥𝐤, because me and him watch every week the episodes. I even told him dude, how does this dude do it? Literally by the end of the episode, well, the first half at least, it shows that basically they hit him really hard in the back of his head, and he throws up 16 balls or something like that.
Okay.
Yeah, it's really weird. It's really creepy. And then the dude, he's also very I mean, I'll explain why right now, but he's very misogynistic, where basically here they toned it down compared to the original one. But basically, yeah, he hates women. And I think it's because like something involving Mendo's sister, his younger sister, she would torture him all the time as a kid. And the excuse that she would always use was that supposedly it's because she loved him, supposedly. But like
Oh, jeez.
every little flashback you would see, she would purposely dig a hole and then he would fall in. She would purposely throw him into a lake. She would purposely get him stung by like bees. She would purposely like light him on fire, stuff like that.
Oh God, that last
Uh,
one.
yeah, like basically she would do really bad things to him. And then the excuse was always, oh, it's because I loved you, blah, blah. And so when the second half of the episode is that basically he wants to get revenge on Mendo for losing, no, not losing, getting a tie on the match because basically him and Mendo have a very unbreaking streak of baseball games. And so he's like, okay, maybe this will be the final like match, and if I win, then I win. And basically he
If I
writes a
win, I get to take your wife.
um
Surprised they didn't pull that.
yeah, that'd be dumb. No, he didn't do that, thankfully. He did was he basically wrote a letter saying that he was gonna challenge him to his at his like athletic field.
Yeah.
But this dumbass, he puts a heart at the end of it. And so
Why?
cause I don't know, he I guess he was supposedly being so like friendly or some dumb thing like that. And so basically when Ryoko, which is Mendo's sister, she sees the letter, she's like, oh my god, it's a love letter from him. I knew it, blah blah blah. And then later she ends up going, everyone ends up going to the athletic field and they think that it's gonna be Mendo like fighting him because supposedly like he challenges him so he can date his sister. In
Yeah.
the end he's like, yeah, blah blah blah, I can like I'll fight you for my sister, blah blah blah. And he even says, he's like, dude, I don't even like your sister, blah blah blah. And he's like, you're lying to me, I know you like my sister. And it was like this stupid like thing where this poor guy, he would even get like I think at one point he got hit by like a boulder or I
Yeah.
forgot what happened, and like somehow he survived it, yet everyone in the anime even said that he should have been dead
Jeez.
because at one point he even gets stepped on the face and he looks like he literally got like a concussion, literally.
Wow.
Yeah, so that's the whole episode basically.
Just him and this weird guy.
Yeah, and Mendo and this weird guy, yeah.
What would Lum do the whole time?
In the first one basically she tried to help I think it was like a Taro's team win the baseball game because apparently Ryoko wanted them to win the game against Mendo.
Yeah.
But stupid Ataru, who because he's a pervert and stuff, he's like, no, we can't win the game because then Ryoko's gonna be like taken by this bad man, blah blah blah. And then Lum's like, why would you want to like lose, blah blah blah. And so she's trying to prevent Ataru's team from like losing.
Yeah.
And obviously, since it was still like a tie, obviously whatever happened didn't happen. The second half, basically what she does is she's trying to find Ataru, but since Ataru's a piece of crap and Ryoko dragged him into the situation, it's basically Lum who's chasing Ataru and Ataru's chasing Ryoko. And so in the end, Lum's basically trying to help the dude where she's like, oh yeah, like women, blah, blah, and this and that. And then he's not convinced because obviously he's scared and he hates women. So
Yeah.
he's just kind of like not listening to her. He's just like, yeah, like, like this woman, what does she want kind of thing. And then at one point, I remember like, yeah, she tries to help him, but then she doesn't. She basically purposely drops him from the top of a tower and he falls and lands on his head.
Oh God.
Yeah, so basically the whole point is those two halves of the episode, it was him almost dying.
That this dude.
Yeah, this dude with long hair that just happens to be Mendo's like childhood best friend and rival. And it was like super dumb.
Oh God. All right. Yeah,
Yeah.
it just sounds really random. Especially not watching it. Just like hearing about it is just like the context
hmm
just sounds so weird, you know?
hmm Um,
But alrighty then.
yeah. Thankfully those episodes, like the way I described it is more shorter than the actual episodes, obviously.
Oh yeah, obviously.
Um, Honestly, this is the shortest summary I've ever made of an episode 2. Um, what I did other than Urusei was I played Rechain of Memories.
Yeah.
So you know how we talked about that last time about how I was grinding instead?
Hmm.
Here, I guess you could say I modded it where basically because I used a save editor, that's why
Hmm.
I gave Sora from the beginning of the game almost 99% of his deck, meaning every single type of card. Like,
Dang.
yeah. And I gave him like special cards like the enemy cards.
Yeah.
And so basically it's funny because yeah, that's what I did. I basically modded it to make it more easier. It's so when you're fighting against Heartless, it literally feels like you're just playing Kingdom Hearts. Like the regular like fighting. It
Yeah, it
feels
makes
like that.
sense because instead of having to like really strategize, it's just they just press X and you can
Hmm.
still like you still would flip through to do different moves, but you don't have to like worry about like the card breaking or any of that. It would probably just be like so much
Hmm.
easier. I can imagine what you mean.
Yeah, because like literally, like if I ever had to deal with like card breaks, it's like the bosses, and so I'm like, okay, I'm gonna stack this nine, and this nine. I got 20 like how do you call it?
7.
20, yeah, 27. That's what I was thinking. But I was like trying to make sure I was right. Yeah, 27. I use it. I literally just beat the boss easily
Dang, I can
because
imagine.
it
I
can't
kind of see,
break the.
yeah, I can imagine what you mean because like knowing how the game works, yeah, that would
Hmm.
probably like, super
Yeah.
break it.
Hmm. Because 27, if I remember correctly, based off the fact that there's not really higher values in regular cards, I think 27 really is like the highest numbers like that.
It should be because yeah, it's through 9, so
One
zero
through
through
nine,
9, 0 through
0 through
9.
nine. I mean,
Yeah.
yeah. So, yeah, that was pretty cool. And then, I breezed through the game really easily. I got to Wonderland, but then freaking the game crashed.
Oh yeah, that's the bad thing. You've told me that your game
Hmm.
crashes a lot,
Which
unfortunately.
which was weird because Chain of Memories lasted way longer than Kingdom Hearts 1 or 2.
I wonder what it depends on. That's so weird.
I think maybe it's because Chain of Memories is more easier to run in some way, I guess, especially because it loads a specific amount of enemies. And you know how Kingdom Hearts 1, it kind of has like a wide field type of thing. Maybe that's why, because it's just like, oh, you're in a box. Then you're in another box. Then you got touched by the enemy. Now you're in a smaller box, and there's very few enemies.
I
I
mean,
wonder
I
if it.
don't maybe, I don't know. So I
Mhm.
wonder what it depends on, like for reals.
Yeah, so that's what happened. Um, and yeah, that's basically what I did. Other than that, it was those two things, and then like I said about the whole thing in the beginning about my profile pic, I
Yeah.
messed around with AI. Oh my God, dude, it was crazy. I put like something like Ansem, the Seeker of Darkness, and I put like realistic and high quality. It literally gave me pictures that made him look similar to what's his name? It made him look similar to, like Xehanort.
Oh, that's funny.
And so I was like, oh, that's so cool that they made it look like his like not original, like yeah, like his original body, basically, his original counterpart. And I was like,
Hmm.
that looks so cool. And it was cool because it recognized the character too.
That's funny. I wonder how it did it.
Hmm.
Like, that would
As
mean
I'm
like
wondering.
that would mean like a lot of people were messing with it or whatever, I guess.
Hmm.
That's cool.
And so yeah, that's why I did. Yeah.
All right, cool. Sounds fun. Um, as for my week then, it's funny because I have a bit of a theme going with mine, and it'll
Hmm.
probably even go into the stories and stuff. Like as I was preparing it, it's too bad yours didn't really end up fitting the theme, but that's fine. But mine, it's funny because everything kind of goes together. So from here on forward, it's gonna be about adaptations, both good and bad, and about different adaptations of different media and how they like, good choices, bad choices, etc.
Yeah.
So basically for my week, the way I did it is that first, I'll start with the game I played, then 3 things I watched. So the first thing that I want to talk about is that I finally played Persona 3 Portable, the port that just hit all the systems.
Oh, that's cool.
Because yeah, in the past, I had said, leading up to this that, oh, I'm really excited because Persona 3 and 4, they're finally coming off of, I played them back on the original PS2. Then 4, was on like the PSP for no the PSP, the PS Vita for the longest time. The like remix version of 4 Golden. That was
Yeah.
stuck on basically just the Vita until they finally released it about like a year or two ago on the on Steam. But 3
Mm.
was still just stuck either on PS2 or a newer version on the PSP.
Hmm.
And not that I don't mind playing on the PSP, but it's the kind of thing where if I'm going to play on the PSP, I rather play on my TV. At which point I would start thinking about emulating it. But if you emulate it, it has some issues, blah blah blah.
Yeah,
So the whole
definitely.
point is, when I heard that these games are finally going to reach all systems, like I'm excited because they're cool. Not only can I play Persona 4 Golden for the first time, because at the time I didn't have a Vita, and it's only recently I got a good computer. So I figured I might as well wait for it to hit all systems, but I can
Yeah.
finally play Persona 3 again, not the PS2 version. So long story short, finally these games hit, all systems, and they were available day one on the Game Pass. So I, preloaded Persona 3 Portable, and I played a bit of it, you know what I mean, as soon as it came out.
Yeah.
And I don't want to talk about it too much because obviously with how excited I've been for these games to finally be more widespread and hit all systems, I
Yeah.
am thinking of doing something for the channel involving the games.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. So kind of keep an eye out for that. But I still tried them out, and I still want to talk about at least a little bit of stuff since we're talking about, like I said, adaptations. So, Persona 3 Portable is based on the PSP version because, like I said, it came out on the PS2 originally.
And then the PS.
Then there was like a newer version, like a definitive edition that had like some tweaks, and it added like
Mm.
an epilogue that was called Persona 3 Festival, also on the PS2. That's the one I played. And then they made the PSP version, which is supposed to be like a more streamlined version of the game. So
Mhm.
this is based on the PSP version, and so far I do enjoy it, but it is very different from the version I played. Because the version I played, the whole time you're moving your character around and stuff, it's like a 3D world, and you're controlling your character. You're running through like the halls of the school, you're running through like the city, different locations, the dorm, etc. As you're, controlling your character. Here, though, for the majority of the game, like for instance, when you're like at school, it'll show you like a top-down view of like, let's say a hallway, and then it'll have like different little markers on some of the doors, one like on the end of the stairs, and some on like the character on some characters. And the way
Yeah.
it works is it's more like a visual novel style, where you just move the cursor around and you click on stuff to get information.
That's pretty
So
cool.
yeah, so it's different. So instead of actually running around in the 3D environment, like running up to somebody and talking to them, it's like no, you just move the cursor, you click on the person if they have a little speech bubble, and it says, what it shows what they say. And then let's say there's like a classroom, you click on the door, and it'll say what classroom it is and what's happening. And then if you click like the stairs, you move on to like a different floor of the building. So that's different.
Yeah.
And then at all times, you can press like a different button. I think it's like the X button or something like that, and it'll give you like a list of commands, kind of like the new like Persona 5 does, sort
Oh
of.
yeah,
And it'll
yeah, yeah.
say like go to first floor hallway, go to second floor hallway, um, leave school, pull up city map, stuff like that. And so you can like jump around between locations, So it's
Yeah.
different, definitely. It's more visual novel style, definitely very different how you navigate and stuff.
Yeah.
But it's not bad though. I mean, I feel like it's very different, but it's easy to get used to. It don't take me too long to be like, okay, this is different, but whatever. And then with the actual dungeon crawling, it's exactly the same. Where when as soon as you enter like the big dungeon, it's called Tartarus. Like I said, if you
Yeah.
guys check out my channel, you'll probably see more of this later. But it's like the big old dungeon where you go to do all like the leveling up and like fighting enemies to get like different um treasure and money and stuff. That is like a 3D view where it's you and your team running around through like a maze like map, and then you see enemies on the field, and if you like run into them or like attack them first or whatever, then it shifts to like a different field where it's like turn-based and stuff. So that part is exactly the same as the original game. The UI just might be like a little bit different. But then, like I said, the rest of the game, though, they did change it so it's more like visual novel, which is funny.
Oh, that's pretty. That's pretty funny. Yeah.
Yeah, but when I played, it seemed pretty good. It seemed to be running really well. I was having fun with it. And like I said, I'm hoping to do something on the channel, so we will see. But I am glad that at least, if I decide to show this version on the channel, because like I said, I could have done the PS2 version, I could have maybe emulated or something, whatever. But I waited for this version, and I'm glad because it seems to be a pretty good adaptation. So
Yeah,
that's cool.
that's pretty cool. Yeah.
Yeah. Jumping over to the first show I watched, I'm gonna put all of the anime I've mentioned before to the side. I'm gonna, kind of shift gears a bit. And instead, I'm gonna talk about, like I said, some stuff I watched. It's totally different. And the first thing I want to talk about is an adaptation done wrong. It's an adaptation that's terrible. And
Oh
that
my
is, of
gosh.
course, that I checked out a few episodes of the animated Velma series on
Oh
HBO
my
Max.
Lord. Yeah.
Oh my god, it is
It's
so
bad.
bad. Like
Yeah.
the previews showed that it was pretty bad, but then when you
Hmm.
watch it, like it's just I don't know who this is for, man. It's just so
It's so bad. Yeah.
like the stories bad. Well, actually, no. Okay, I'll start with the positives, then I'll go into the negatives.
Okay.
The premise isn't bad. Like focusing on Velma is interesting because they've never done it before. It's almost always either the whole gang or we focus on like Scooby and Shaggy, right?
Hmm.
So for it to be like, oh, it's gonna be a show about Velma and her experience, sounds cool. Honestly, I don't hate the character designs. I think they're kind of cool because they're different. Like if you look at like the portraits of the characters, the fact
Yeah.
that they're different, it's kind of cool too because it could be like, okay, in a world where we have a lot of like, alternate universes, and I know even Scooby Doo does it. Where like I know there's a comic where it's like, oh, it's like a crossover of like the different, like like the show from the '60s and like the newer style, and there's like a post-apocalyptic style, and there's different versions of the Scooby Doo gang. So if this was to be one of the versions, I wouldn't hate it. It's okay. This is a very different, but it's kind of cool how they've adapted it. Like the character designs themselves look cool. Like
Hmm.
Fred, if this was to be like a very rich boy version of him, the design is actually pretty good. He looks like a spoiled rich kid. Same thing with Shaggy, even though he's like black, which is like very different. It's still a pretty interesting design. I don't hate it. It's kind of like, okay, if Shaggy was black, maybe this is what he would look like. Okay, I don't hate it. So character designs are kind of cool. Premise about it focusing on Velma isn't bad, but then that's where it just falls apart.
It ends
Yeah,
after that. Yeah.
because the animation is not great. The only time I would say the animation is really interesting is when she's having like a freak out. She has like a panic attack. Those are kind of interesting because it gets like very surreal and very like weird.
They put all the budget into that.
But then like the way she has the panic attacks are really weird in the story, where she'll just like randomly have them, and then she'll like not have them, and people will stare at her and they like they don't really give it like all the weight you think they should that she's having them. I don't know how to explain it.
That's
And
weird. Yeah.
then the characters are just really hateable, and none of them are really likable. They're very annoying. The humor's really bad. It's not even funny. The pacing's really weird. Like the first episode, she gives her little spiel about how she's the main character, how she's going to solve some mysteries, and I think get the gig together because the whole point is that this is a world where they're not like together as like mystery
Again,
solvers.
yeah.
But then like it literally shows that like, oh, Daphne, who's a rich girl, is like in the shower with these other girls. And they're talking about like trying to, break the fourth wall, which is something the show does a lot. It's really annoying. And like, oh, don't you like hate when like a show tries to be like edgy and gratuitous? They say as it's them bathing and like almost being naked, and the girls start fighting. And then
Wow.
someone looks like they're like a murderer shows up and it hits Daphne across the room, and it's Velma. And then Daphne's like, "You could have killed me." And Velma's like, "I guess I wasn't trying hard enough."
Bruh,
So
that's so
Velma's just
dumb.
like a total psycho attacking her in the shower, almost
That's
killing
so
her.
dumb. That's so dumb.
And then they open a locker and there was an actual dead girl inside in Velma's
Oh
locker.
yeah. Oh yeah. I seen that. Yeah.
So then it cuts to like the police station, and then these police are talking to Velma, and they're like, "Yeah, you're like the number one suspect, because obviously it was your locker, and you've talked about how like, oh, you want to kill some of these rich girls before her. Like the only way we'll like let you loose or whatever, you have to help us solve the mystery." And it's like,
That's so
why would a
stupid.
bunch of cops tell a high school student to
Who's
help them
a
solve a murder?
Yeah, and then
The
they
whole
literally just accused her of like,
Yeah, when the whole point is that the way the Scooby Doo gang does it is they're solving mysteries even when adults don't want them to because they love mysteries that much. Like they're
Hmm.
supposed to be over their head, but they're like doing all these things to like that. It's impressive. But here
It's like a
it's like no,
vigilante type thing.
almost. But here it's like
Hmm.
yeah, if you help us solve the murder, that's the only way to clear your name. It's like what? That's so
That's
stupid.
so
Like what?
stupid. Yeah.
Oh my god, it's like the pacing is just really weird. The characters are hateable. The animation, like I said, feels like they used all their budget on those like trauma,
Hmm.
anxiety attack things, which like they're not even treated like seriously, or like they don't really give weight. The humor's terrible. A lot of people, it's so weird because they say like, "Oh, this show's so woke because it like did the whole race swap and because different characters with different sexualities and stuff." But then
Yeah.
it feels like the show, okay, let's say like, okay, sure, it's woke, it's trying to be like, but then if you look at some of the humor, it feels like the humor, the people who wrote it, it feels like they make jokes almost like they hate people who are woke as well. So I don't
Yeah.
know who this is for. Like, it's obviously not for people who like quote unquote hate woke stuff, but it's also not for people who quote unquote like quote like like woke stuff. It seems like it just hates everybody, including it hates Scooby Doo. So I don't understand why they chose to make a series about Scooby Doo if it sounds like everyone involved just hates everything that has to do with Scooby Doo and like the whole like lore and mythos.
If they wanted to make it this clear, they could have literally stated this all before they even made this shit. They
So
could have
I
been like, "Yeah, we hate it," and then just like make a whole talk show about hating Scooby Doo.
Yeah, so I don't get it. Like it's so
Yeah,
badly made and it makes no sense. And like I just don't get it, dude. It just feels like I don't understand who made this, why they made it. I don't understand who it's for. Is there stuff out there that can make fun parody stuff, but while still being
keeping it
funny?
likable. Yeah,
Yeah, and this is just not it, man. So like, I don't know. The least said about it, the better, but it's just terrible. Like, I heard it was terrible. I watched it, and yeah, I can say it's just not funny. It's not charming or anything, Because there's some other stuff that maybe isn't funny, but at least the characters are charming, so you kind of want to keep watching it, and you want to root that it gets better as you like continues.
hmm,
But this is like not one of those shows. It's just really, really bad.
that's
So
sad.
yeah, that's a thumbs
I,
down. That's a thumbs down for me, man. It's just
yeah. Thankfully, they didn't actually feature the character Scooby Doo because someone in that office they saved him.
yeah, it feels like he really dodged a bullet. Like he didn't.
Yeah,
But at the same time, that's what's so weird about it too. It's like, why isn't the dog in it? Oh, because it's too immature. We're going for very mature. No, we're not going to go there. It's just the point is, like I
it's
said, it's stupid. I'm not even going to get into an argument about it. It's just stupid. Like Scooby's lucky he didn't have to come out in this. Just whatever. No.
yeah.
Moving on though, something that was better though. I'd heard some good stuff about it, which is really surprising. Which I'll mention in a moment why. But basically, what I'm talking about is that I watched the first episode of the Last of Us TV show.
Oh, nice. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, so I watched the first episode. It's actually really long. The first episode's like an hour and 20 minutes,
Oh, wow.
which usually most shows are what, like 45 minutes, an hour, so it's pretty long.
Hmm.
The reason that I said I didn't really have high hopes for it, taking a step back. When I heard there was gonna be a Last of Us TV show, like everyone else, whenever you hear there's gonna be like a TV adaptation of a game, the first thing you think is, oh no. Because
Yeah,
if you look
because
at like the Halo TV show or like that Resident Evil TV show, stuff like that.
oh, the Resident Evil TV show, that was
Yeah,
yeah,
like these are never great because it always feels like the people who make them don't give a shit about like
the
the
original source.
yeah, and so they just try to do their own thing and it ends up being like terrible, right?
Hmm.
I gotta admit, I at first was worried about this as well because there had been like this interview where I think the girl who plays Ellie said like, "Oh, they told me not to like look up or like play the game because they didn't want me to be like inspired by it or like take anything from it." Which sounded
Wow.
bad. Which sounded bad because you're like, okay,
Hmm.
why would you tell the person to avoid the source material when the whole point is if you have respect for the source material, you want them to take inspiration from it, right?
Hmm.
So, like many others, I heard this and I just a general track record of game adaptations, and I was not very excited about it. I'm like, oh no, this sounds like it's gonna be really bad. But then I started hearing some really good stuff about it. I heard about how it was a pretty good adaptation, blah blah blah. At least the first episode, that's all it's out right now. And so it made me go, okay, I'm gonna check this out. I've heard some good things. Let's see how good it is. And after watching the first episode, I'll admit that this first episode, I mean, who knows if later it'll fall apart, but at least this very first episode, it was actually really good. It was really interesting, and it really did feel like a faithful adaptation of like the beginning of the game. Like it's not going to be like
pretty cool.
It's not going to be a perfect one-for-one representation, obviously. Obviously, when it's a good adaptation, they change some stuff around. But it was really interesting the way they did it, where, yeah, you see Joel, which is the main character, played by Pedro Pascal, who's the guy from like The Mandalorian and a bunch of stuff.
Oh, that's pretty...
He plays Joel. And yeah, it basically starts where, you know, it's before all of this goes down, and you see him dealing with like the outbreak and trying to help his family escape, and then tragedy strikes and stuff. And the way they build up to it, where you kind of see a bit of like the before time, and you see stuff like on the TV and the radio, and you kind of see some hints of stuff happening going wrong, is like really interesting. It was really cool. And then the very first scene is really good too. I actually really like it. I think it's like a really good like prologue before the content starts. It starts with this what would you call it? Someone who looks at like fungus and stuff like that. I don't know what you would call them. It's some sort of scientist though, right? That like looks at like
it's
disease.
Like a doctor that they study that, yeah.
Yeah,
a biologist that studies that, yeah.
Yeah, so it starts where because if anyone doesn't know, real quick, the whole point of The Last of Us is that it's a post-apocalyptic society. You know, it's a world where a fungal infection basically turned a whole bunch of the population into zombies. It destroyed everything. It's like these, what are they called, cordyceps or whatever you call those weird fungus or whatever, because it's true. Like in real life, that's what's scary. That's what's really cool about the prologue when the whole scientist is talking about it. There really are funguses and parasites and stuff that they hijack a host, and
I've seen it.
Yeah, they like eat it from the inside out, or they purposely make the host go crazy and
like
get
a zombie,
and get self-eaten or something. And there's this really creepy parasite that'll attach itself to like a bird. No, a worm. I mean, I'm sorry. It attaches itself to like a worm. I forget if it's a parasite or if it's like a fungus, but it attaches itself to a worm. It makes the ice stalks or whatever bigger on purpose and more colorful, and it purposely goes out into where, you know, the open instead of hiding.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. I've learned about it. Yeah.
So that a bird eats it, and when the bird eats it, it spreads more of that like parasite or fungus
because of when it poops. Yeah,
that's how it spreads more. And then, like I said, there's these mushrooms that the same thing. That's why that Pokemon Paris.
That's what I was about to mention.
It's kind of scary because if you actually look at like the real life, it's believed that little crab, it's being controlled by the mushrooms on its back.
That's why when it evolves to its bigger counterpart, it doesn't have the eyes anymore. Someone says, because it has to do with the fact that parasite fungi thing, it can actually do to bugs and like smaller animals. It can blind the creature basically.
Yeah, and it basically takes over them.
And it just uses the other senses by that point or something like that.
Yeah, and so basically the whole point of The Last of Us is that's what happens, that there's a fungal infection, it takes over all these people, and all these people are like walking mushroom zombie things. It's really creepy. Anyway, what I was trying to say is that, yeah, and so when the biologist or whatever, the doctor's talking about this like on a talk show, that's how it starts. It's like a talk show, and they're talking about like, you know, if people should be worried about disease and a bunch of stuff. And it's crazy. He explains how things could go wrong. And he says, you know, if it goes wrong about how everyone's screwed. And then it shows that the audience is kind of like all like really quiet. And the guy who's leading the show, he's like, okay, I guess we'll be right back after the commercial. But everyone's like really somber. And then that's what ends up happening. Like everything he predicted actually happened. But what's so creepy is when he mentions it's so realistic because I could like I don't know, these things exist in real life. So it's creepy imagining
animals.
Yeah, so it's creepy imagining if these really did evolve, that they could like reach us humans, you know what I mean? So that was really well done. That was like a really good opening, you know, prologue thing. And then, like I said, the whole thing about Joel and his family and tragedy strikes, also really well done. And then there's a little bit of a time skip where at this point, you know, Joel, this is where he meets Ellie, and the whole thing with him meeting Ellie and stuff, and they're gonna help her. They need to smuggle her somewhere. You have to like watch the show to like see the lore and stuff. But yeah, all this for the first episode was pretty well done. I liked it. I thought it was very well adapted. There's some changes, obviously, here and there. Like the years changed, and it is just stuff. Details are going to be changed. You're never going to do like a perfect adaptation, like one for one of everything. But I thought what I saw was pretty well done, and I thought that so far, I think Pedro Pascal seems like a tired, grizzly guy that's miserable, and seeing how he bonds with Ellie will be interesting. I mean, he did a really good job in The Mandalorian as a father figure. So I think that if he brings that same energy here with Ellie and like he bonds with her and stuff along the way, it'll be interesting to see how it
evolves.
Yeah, but so far, first episode was really good. I enjoyed it. I was like, okay, this is a pretty good adaptation, at least the first episode.
I'm curious
to see. Yeah, I'm curious to see if they can continue this success.
Because it could go downhill any minute too. That's the problem too.
Yeah, because like once they have to like fight like the enemies and they have to make their way to different settings and adapt more of the story, who knows how to go, right? But at least so far, like I said, I thought it was pretty good. It was pretty impressive. So I am actually excited to see more, to see like if this is actually like a really good show, if it continues to be good, it'll be nice to have more of these good adaptations similar to like like the Sonic movie and I don't know, we've had a few things here and there that have been okay, so it'll be nice to have more stuff that's a good adaptation. All right, so we have an example of a bad adaptation, we have an example of a good adaptation, and for my last one, I would say it's one that's somewhere in the middle. I wouldn't call it terrible by a long shot, but I wouldn't call it great either. I would say it's not even in the middle. I would say it's more leaning towards good than bad. So I don't know. Maybe I'm being a little too harsh on it and making it sound like it's worse than it is. But the point is, the show I'm talking about that I watched that also premiered earlier this week is that I binged all of that '90s show.
Nice.
And I don't know if anyone knows what I'm talking about, but the '90s show is the continuation. It's like a reboot / sequel of that '70s show. Yeah.
Okay.
So back in the day when the '70s show came out, I watched it. Obviously, it was on TV. Watched all the episodes. Really liked it, except for like that last season. Nobody likes the last season. That one was terrible because the whole point is, Eric Foreman, played by Topher Grace, he moved on, so the character wasn't there. And then Michael Kelso, played by Ashton Kutcher, he also like left. He wasn't around for much of the season, and they brought in a new guy that wasn't that great.
That sucks.
So yeah, not having your main character and not having your main comic relief was really bad. And they brought in this new guy who was just really obnoxious and just like, last season was not good.
Damn.
However, though, they decided they wanted to do this reboot / sequel, and the whole premise is that Eric and Donna from the original series, they didn't end up getting married, and they have a daughter who's a teenager. And basically the premise is that they come over to visit the grandparents, Red and Kitty, and they're going to be there for the 4th of July, like the 4th of July weekend. And basically the girl, who's always been kind of like nerdy, she doesn't have a lot of friends, because I think they live in Chicago or something like that. She doesn't have a lot of friends. She's really nerdy. She's kind of awkward, that sort of thing. She like really fast hits it off with all of like the teens in that, Point Place, Wisconsin, which is where the original show took place. Like she really likes it there. She really hits it off with all the people, and she has like a lot of friends right away. And she's like, "Oh, I really want to make memories. I want to stay during the summer, etc." And at first, Eric Foreman, he does not want her to stay. There's like a whole thing of like a father-daughter relationship, and he's like upset because she's growing up, and I want to let her go, blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But by the end of the first episode, he lets her stay, and basically it focuses on her and her little friend group and all like the misadventures they get into. And
pretty cool.
Seeing all of the old characters come back was awesome. Eric Foreman's back, Donna's back. Like I said, they're married. Seeing like their dynamics kind of fun. Obviously, Red and Kitty, who are Eric's parents, they're back. There's an episode where Donna's dad, Bob, who used to live next door, he makes like an appearance. The dude Fez, the one's from a foreign country, he makes a few appearances in a couple of the episodes. His whole thing's really funny. Kelso and Jackie come out at the end of the first episode. They make a little appearance. That was really fun. Leo, the local stoner, he comes on a few episodes. So every time that you see one of the old characters, it was really fun. And I thought like the continuation to give all the characters was pretty cool. It was fine, I guess. It was fun. And then as for the new characters, that's where like I wouldn't say they're great, but I like them enough. I thought they were pretty interesting. I would like to see more of them. And I don't know, like a lot of people are being really harsh. I don't know if they're just being dumb because nostalgia and like I don't like stuff that's new or whatever.
Oh, I hate it when people do that. That's what they did with Urusei as well. I saw people
Yeah, because a
complaining about it.
lot of people were being really dumb. But I thought the show was fine. Like I'm saying, I wouldn't say it's perfect. I wouldn't give it like a 10 out of 10, but I would
Yeah.
easily give it like a 7.5 out of 10.
Around there. I can tell that from what you told me, that it would be around there, basically. That's what I was feeling.
Yeah, because it's really fun. Like I think it's really like Kitty and Red, they're basically like main characters because it's taking place in their house. Obviously, Eric and Donna, they're not there. They're taking care of, the girl. Her name, they named her Leia, which is funny because in the original series, Eric was like obsessed with Star Wars. So he named his daughter Leia,
sense, yeah.
which is like super funny. Anyway, yes, they're taking care of Leia. And yeah, so Eric's parents, Red and Kitty, they're main characters, and I think they don't miss a beat. It feels like they've been making this show like it never stopped. It feels like literally you're really looking at real people 20 years later or whatever, because they just feel like the same characters and they feel like really funny still. Like their dynamics just, really cool. And then Leia, for instance, I think she's really good because she has those characteristics of Eric Foreman, where he's like kind of nerdy and kind of awkward, and like she has a lot of that like awkwardness and stuff that I thought was really funny.
Oh, that's cool. It carries off from the father too.
Yeah, like
okay.
it definitely feels like you're seeing his daughter, like for reals. Like she plays it really well. And then the other characters, I don't know, like they're not always great, like like the lines they do or like the moments, but overall, I thought they were really fun. Like they show 𝐥𝐤𝐳's son. His name is 𝐥𝐤𝐤, and he's kind of like a man whore. And Leia, that's like her love interest. And I thought he was really fun. And I thought it was really fun, seeing his moments of like he's kind of dumb like his dad. And he has a best friend who's equally as dumb as him. And they're their bro moments I thought were really fun, honestly. I thought their bro moments were really funny. And then that friend of Jay, that's his best friend, he has his girlfriend that they're always making out. They're always like, they're like the official couple that like always there. Kind of how in the original it was always Jackie and 𝐿𝐴. And they're funny too. I don't know. It's just kind of funny seeing that he's kind of whipped by the girl a bit. And I don't know, their dynamic's really fun too. Like I thought it was fine. That girl though, she doesn't have too much going on, but when they show some stuff about her, she's fine. She kind of reminds me of the original Jackie, where she has her moments. And then Jay's best friend's sister, because that's Leia's best friend. So Leia's best friend lives next door where Donna used to live. And so her name's Gwen. And Gwen and her brother, what's the brother's name? Oh my God, I'm forgetting the brother's name.
Miles.
No.
Okay.
But whatever the brother's name is, it's her half brother. And he's the one who's best friends with Jay. Yeah, she's really fun. She kind of reminds me of how Donna used to be, because she's like she tries to be more independent. She tries to be kind of like a feminist, where she like, says like, you don't need a man or whatever. Or like, if you do, then I don't know, at least, you got to be the one that make like him come to you, stop being like a pushover or whatever. And I don't know, like it wasn't too much. I thought it could have easily made her really annoying, but like, no, she feels like she is just like a fun rebel type. Yes, I'm looking up the names. The name of Gwen's brother is Nate. So the characters are Leia, who's Eric and Donna's daughter. Her best friend is Gwen, who lives next door where Donna used to live. Her brother is Nate. Nate is best friends with Jay. And then Nate's girlfriend is Nikki, who's like kind of like the new version of Jackie. And then, of course, they have to have a Fez. They have to have like a foreign kid. There's this little like fat gay Asian kid named 𝐤𝐤𝐤, and like he's pretty. So he's funny too. He just has all sorts of weird one-liners, and he's like really snarky. And I mean, Fez always seemed kind of weird. You know what I mean? Like people kind of question if he was gay, even though he wasn't, because he was like a super horn dog. But this kind of character kind of reminds me of that, because he's like really sassy, kind of the way like Fez used to be. Anyway, the whole point is, I like it. I thought it was funny. I thought the characters were good. I thought the bro moments between Jay and Nate were funny. I thought some of the weird stuff with Nate being whipped by Nikki was funny. I thought that seeing Jay act, kind of like an idiot like his dad was funny. I thought that Red acting like Red, saying he's going to put his foot up people's ass was really funny. And then Kitty's always been like a fun character because she's always like really neurotic and like really like she always wants to like impress the kids and a bunch of stuff. I thought she was funny, so I enjoyed it. Like it wasn't like
Nice.
once again not the best show in the world, but I liked it enough. I would like to see more of it. And I was going to earlier. Sorry. But yeah, a lot of people I don't know if it's just nostalgia or what, but I thought it was really annoying because they're like, I don't like any of the new cast because like the writing, the humor, it's not funny, and like it feels like they deliver like the dialogue feels like it's out of like a Disney or like a Nickelodeon show.
Oh
And
my gosh.
all I'm thinking is like, yes, them talking about getting high and tapping a keg. That's total Disney energy. That's Disney
That's
dialogue.
totally something I see in like my Disney Channel TV show or Nickelodeon TV show.
Yeah, and then when they're
Yeah.
talking, when they're like warning the girl, oh, you don't want to get with 𝐥𝐤𝐤 because he's kind of a man whore, and they're describing the stuff. Yeah, that's totally something.
That I
That's
see
like,
in my local Disney shows. Yeah.
yeah, like they're so dumb. Like I did not see the Disney-esque stuff.
It's because
Like
they're teenagers. That's why. That's
like 90% of the time I did not see it. Like there's some stuff where I can kind of see what they like. Okay, maybe there's some lines I could maybe see in a Disney show, maybe like
Mhm.
some of the humor, but like 90% of the time, it's like no, man. Like if you remember the original show, I think there's a lot of people who haven't watched the original show. The original show just had kind of weird humor. Like people were complaining about when they get high for the first time, the stuff they talk about isn't funny, it's dumb. And it's like that's the whole point of the original. The first time they get high in the first episode, the character who didn't come back because of real life stuff, Hyde,
Yeah.
he's talking about, have you guys heard about a car that runs on water? And it's like without context of how that ends up like being a recurring gag that comes over and over. Like if you just heard it the first time, it's not really funny. It's just like, okay, there's a car that runs on water. What's so funny about
Yeah.
that?
It's very out of context. Yeah. It's like okay.
Yeah, or like every time that Kelso just goes like bird, he looks like an idiot. Like without like the context and like knowing the character, that sounds kind of dumb too. That sounds very like, oh, that's his
Okay.
catchphrase. I don't know. I'm just saying, like, I feel like I don't know. I liked it. I thought it was fine. I know other people who also thought it was fine, but there was a lot of people who were like, oh, it's so cringy and the humor and like I don't know. I just don't agree with those people.
That sounds so dumb.
I feel like they're just being weird. I feel like they're just being like nostalgia and like, oh, new's bad. I don't like new. Everything on new is
Yeah.
bad. And like, I don't know. I thought it was fine. Once again, not great, but I thought it was fine. I want to watch more of it. I thought it was enjoyable enough. I'm hoping that if they do more, maybe the characters, especially with the comedy show, it takes a while for characters to like really find their rhythm. Even like a really great show like Parks and Rec, which I really loved and a lot of people loved, it took a while to really get there. It took until like maybe like the third season to like really, really like find its footing. You know what I mean?
I know because what's the name of it? Another example would be like The Office. The
Because they were
first two seasons were very
because they were just trying to adapt the British one, and the characters were different, and like it took them a while too. Exactly.
yeah. Oh, I was gonna say the bird line was actually pretty funny though. So I don't know. Like
The
I
way
just the bird
the
line.
oh, you mean Burn?
Oh, burn. I thought you said bird for some reason.
Oh no, that's
But
stupid.
yeah,
No,
bird.
because he would say something and he would go like, "Oh, Burn."
That's actually pretty funny.
But I'm telling you, but like him just saying it, like it could be kind of annoying if you just hear it without context. But it's just some idiot yelling "Burn." Oh,
Yeah, it would be kind of like okay.
like that's why you need like the whole context. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I don't know. But anyway, there you go. That is my week. That is the stuff that I looked at. And like I said, it was varying qualities. Some adaptations were good. Some were kind of more, in the middle. And there was one that was very, very bad.
Oh my God, Velma, like, dude, that's a piece of
Yes.
yeah.
Let's not talk about it. But as we move on to our news, though, the funny part is that I have more stuff that has to do with adaptations, or at the very least about making choices about moving to like different media, if that makes sense. You'll see what I mean in a moment.
Yeah.
So the first news story that I want to talk about, now that we're moving over to the news, this is the one that's like the least connected, but then as we go, you'll kind of see what I mean about the whole like making choices thing. So I thought this was a pretty interesting story. I can't believe it took this long. I could have sworn this felt like it happened a long time ago.
Oh
But as
boy.
the title of the article says, Stadia is officially dead.
Yay!
So messed up. But yes, it says, under that, after 3+ years of service, Google's ambitious cloud gaming initiative Stadia has been shut down. So I believe it's shut down on the 19th, I want to say. Can't find the exact thing, but I want to say it's shut down January 19th, 2023. And you can read the article. It talks about the information about, when it was announced, how it happened, about how they gave people refunds, etc. Obviously, either you know about Stadia or you don't. But the reason I say it kind of has to do with like an adaptation and like making bad choices and stuff is that apart from some fanboys who were like really blinded by this and had like a lot of faith in this, I don't know why, everybody knew this was going to fail.
Including me, yeah. I saw from like the moment they would put these ads, I knew it was gonna fail. I was like, no.
Yeah, because number one, and I'm not gonna say all my information is up to date. A
Mhm.
lot of this is like from the last time I looked into it. Maybe after that it got better. But from the beginning, you could tell this was gonna be bad. Because number one, they had said that you're gonna be able to play your games, like stream them on supposedly any like Google device. Like, oh, on your computer, if you have like a Chrome tab, you'll be able to use it. If you have like a phone that's a Google phone, you'll be able to use it. If you have a Chromecast, you'll be able to use it. I believe they even said, what was the other thing they had said? Oh, no, that's one thing. And then it ended up like, at least when I looked into it, like, oh, embarrassing long time later, it was like, no, it only works if you buy like a really expensive Chromecast.
Oh my god.
So that was one thing where like, first of all, I don't know if it ever reached that level they had said where like, you can play it on anything. So that sucked. The number two, the one I was gonna jump the gun. The whole point of what was supposed to make Stadia impressive is that you could be watching YouTube, and let's say you're watching a YouTuber play, just an example, an indie game like what's the one?
Baldi's Basics.
No, that's no, because that's not a that's like a total like no.
Okay.
Like let's say like you're watching them play like Hollow Knight.
Okay.
Yeah, because the one you came up, it's just like that's more of like a PC exclusive. So I'm sorry, but no,
That's true.
let's say it's something that's like on all systems, right? Like Hollow Knight.
Okay.
Supposedly, the whole point is that if you're watching somebody play something like Hollow Knight, there would be a button on the controller that you would hit the button or you would click or whatever, and it would then take you to your Stadia so that you could play the game yourself.
Oh, that's cool.
And so they had said it was going to have like this whole interactive thing where it's like, oh man, I like what this person's playing. I want to play it too. And then you would hit the button, it would take you to the thing, you would start playing it, and so you could jump in if you enjoyed it. That sounded cool. That I know of, they never did that. They never even got close to implementing that.
Yeah, of course.
Then the whole point of what made this service really terrible is that, okay, let's say that it's like a streaming thing. Doesn't sound too bad. But it's like, oh, so it's like a Netflix of games. You get to play a bunch of games for like a certain price, right? No, it's not like Game Pass where you pay a certain amount each month and you have like a whole library of games. You had to buy the Stadia and pay for the service so that you could then purchase and download the games.
Oh my god, that's so dumb.
And what's even worse is obviously because they're digital, they're not your actual games. It's almost like you were paying full price to rent the games.
That's what I was about to say. That's what it sounds like. Yeah.
Yeah, so it's the equivalent of imagine you work somewhere and they give you like a nice phone, right? And they're like, as long as you work here, you get to use that phone. Think of it as like your personal phone. Doesn't sound too bad. Okay. But let's say you download a bunch of games and like content, you buy it and you put it on that phone. But obviously you can't get it off of there because it's stuck to that account. And then it's only while you're working for that company. So if you stop working for that company or that phone gets messed up or whatever, they're gone. And that's what ended up happening here. That luckily, yes, they gave people a refund, mostly like a big most refund, but it was such a bad idea from the beginning because why would you pay for the device to then have the privilege to buy the game's full price to only play on that device. But then if the service goes down, you can't like do anything with it.
Mm-hmm.
And then last but not least, the lag. Because you have to have really good internet, because if you don't have perfect internet, you can't even play the games right because there's like a bunch of lag, like input lag.
Mm-hmm. Because it's cloud service, yeah.
Exactly. So this is one of those things that everybody knew was going to fail, but the fanboys wouldn't hear it. They didn't want to believe anybody. And now, after what feels like forever, because I feel like, honestly, I thought this thing was dead long, long ago.
I thought so too.
Because it never went anywhere. It's finally dead.
Yeah.
And it's to surprise no one, because what Google does. Google always
never finishes their stuff,
but never finishes stuff. Exactly. So there you go. Rest in peace, Stadia. Not very big loss. I mean, no one's gonna miss you, but
I remember the cringy commercials they would put on like Twitch.
Oh my god, yeah.
That's what I'm telling you. And it was every 5 seconds. That's why I knew it was gonna fail. Because I'm like, there's no way that they're this desperate to put these ads as well. And no one gave a shit, including me. And we were all like, please get this off our screen.
The commercials were so bad because they wouldn't even show what it actually was. They would never show
the games. They would never show the games either.
Or how to use the service. It would just be like, oh, it's so revolutionary. It's going to change your life. And it would have someone press a button and they were like in space flying around.
Exactly.
It was like so dumb, so dumb. Oh my God.
Yeah.
Same as Velma. It's one of those things. Yeah. Let's never talk about it again. Let's leave it in the past.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Moving on to our second story. This is more of a whole adaptation thing because they're adapting a well-known superhero property, I guess you'd call, into a game. But unfortunately, it looks like they have turned it to shit, and I don't know what's going to happen with it.
Wow.
As the title of the article states, Suicide Squad will have a battle pass limited to cosmetics.
Wow.
So this story sucks, and the reason I'm saying it's such a bad adaptation, it's so bad, is okay. When they talked about Suicide Squad kills the Justice League, and they showed some footage, it didn't look great, but it looked kind of cool.
It looks like it was promising in a way.
Similar to something like, I guess the first thing I can think of is like Borderlands, where you pick from 4 characters, each has their own moveset and their own like gameplay gimmicks and stuff. It looks like, okay, cool. You get to pick between Harley Quinn, Captain Boomerang, Deathshot, I think that's his name, Deathshot, and King Shark. And each has their own moves, their own gameplay, etc. And it's about you running around a city, defeating people, and the bosses look like they're going to be the different Justice League members. That sounded very interesting. However, it sucks because about earlier in the week, there was a leak that showed the main menu when you're like loading up. Yeah. And it literally has the whole game, staying around, and there's an option that says Battle Pass, and it shows that you have to like level up your character and a bunch of stuff.
Oh my God.
And at the time when that leak came out, I believe someone said, no, that's not real. Don't worry, blah, 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 blah. But now the news has come out that yes, it is real. Don't worry, it's only for cosmetics. But the thing is that even if it was just for just cosmetics, which is true, when it's just cosmetics, it's not bad. For something like Fortnite or Call of Duty, it's true. You can play the whole game, never pay anything. It's not that big of a deal. The part that sucks, though, is that any game that has a battle pass has a very specific type of gameplay. From what I've seen, I could be wrong, but anytime you have a game with a battle pass, it's not an open world game like Borderlands, where you go and do mission to mission and you travel around the whole map and you'll do your thing and level up and get moves. At least, maybe I'm wrong, but every time there's a game with a battle pass, it's a very specific type of gameplay where you pick your character, you load up with your team, and then you drop in and you defeat a bunch of enemies, you collect a bunch of points, you fight maybe some sort of boss, depending on the game, and then when you're done, you go back to the main menu and you collect your rewards or whatever, and you jump back in and do the same thing.
Yeah, it's repetitive. It's just a repeat. Yeah,
because the whole point of any game I've seen, at least, that has a battle pass, it's always been a multiplayer sort of game where it's very repetitive, where it's about defeating enemies to gain points or whatever, and then you use those points to level up and get more like cosmetics or in. So I thought it was gonna be like this cool, like, oh, it's you running around the city doing missions and like you're gonna defeat, this area, and then out of that area, maybe like Superman will be the boss, and you go to like a new area, you're gonna defeat all these people and whatever, and maybe the Flash will be the boss, stuff like that. But based on how it says there's a battle pass, not only does that suck, because it sucks how a lot of games have battle passes that are not needed, but it sounds like it's going to be one of those repetitive games then where the gameplay is going to be like that. Instead of being more like instead of a Borderlands type thing, I think the first thing that comes to my mind, we run around a whole map doing missions and coming back and forth and stuff.
Yeah, it sounds very...
So I'm hoping I'm wrong. I'm hoping it is more like the Borderlands type of thing where there's missions and you run around and you level yourself up and get new moves. I'm hoping it's more like that, but the battle pass makes me wonder that I don't know. I don't think so. I think it's gonna be more of just drop in and fight enemies and then recycle, rinse and repeat, and do it again and fight more enemies. And I don't know.
Then a boss just randomly shows up and then
that really sucks, man. Like it is not at all what I thought it was gonna be, at least based on this. I mean, the game's still gonna take a while to come out. Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe they'll show more footage and more of how the game works. But so far, this makes me go, oh, this sucks.
Damn.
Because I was excited for, like I said, more of maybe like a Borderlands type thing where you pick your person and you stick with them and you play through the game and the story. But instead, it looks like no, it's not going to be like that at all.
Damn, bro. That's tragic.
Yeah, and it sucks. And like I said, that is an adaptation of a property that's not the way I wanted to see it go. So that really, really sucks. And speaking of Suicide Squad, this ties into our third story, which is probably the most frustrating out of all of them, actually, because I've been waiting for the news of this property, but not the way they're giving it to us.
I've been waiting for it to, yeah.
Yeah, so as the title of the article states, Jared Leto's Tron 3 is finally out of development hell. Filming starts soon.
Bruh.
And then below that it says, Disney is finally moving forward with Tron 3, starring Jared Leto as Pirates of the Caribbean 5's director is in talks to helm Tron Ares.
Oh my god.
So I'm so disappointed because Tron 2 wasn't great.
That is true.
It had issues. But at the very least, it was very cool seeing that it had respect for the first one. It was trying to continue it. And it left us in a place that was interesting where you wanted to know more. And people have been waiting for a second part forever because, they're like, okay, some people liked it. They want to see more of the story. Even the people who didn't like it, they're like, hey, I at least like the aesthetic and I like the soundtrack by Daft Punk. They're like, I at least want to see more of that. And then, it sucks because since then, this movie took forever to come out. Daft Punk broke up. They're retired. And apparently then this gets announced. And if you look at the information, it's so lame because apparently Daft Punk is not going to do the soundtrack. They don't even know if the main characters from the last one
will show up.
Yeah, it's so dumb because all it says is like, oh, they're open to return, but it doesn't even say if they're going to come back. So what is the point of doing the movie with Jared Leto? It's either going to be like a reboot or it's going to be like some sort of a continuation that has nothing to do with the other ones, and like
those really crappy sequels that have nothing to do with the prequels. Yeah,
it sounds so lame, and like I just don't get it. I just hate it so much. And not only that, but Jared Leto sucks. He's such an annoying actor, dude.
Yeah.
Like, people hate him for a reason. He's so pretentious and he's so annoying. And, like, everything about him just sucks, man. I hate his face. Literally. Yeah. Like, the only movies I can think of where I like him are, and it's probably because they're, like, his older movies, too, before he got all pretentious and shit. I really like him in Requiem for a Dream. I think he does a really good job in that movie. And I think he's like okay in American Psycho, where he gets it killed off by really quick by Christian Bale.
Oh yeah. That was one of his first roles. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like those movies, like he's fine because I guess he was still young. He wasn't like all pretentious and stuff yet. And they're
Hmm.
like, like I don't know, but like everything else since then, he always is like all pretentious and like I feel like he thinks he's a good actor and he's not. You know what I mean? And he acts like really,
Yeah,
oh, he's just so annoying. And then hearing how he is and how he's like a weird groomer cult leader and stuff, just
yeah.
So this one really sucks, man. I really wanted to continue Tron, really wanted to know more of this world,
Hmm.
especially because with Kingdom Hearts 4 coming out.
That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah,
Yes.
if you've played Dream Drop Distance, they have a Tron world. It's based on the second movie, and they
Hmm.
even have like a little cliffhanger where you're kind of wondering what's gonna happen to Tron. They like,
Hmm.
touch upon that. And so I was
Hmm.
excited because like, oh man, I really hope a third one comes out someday. That way we can get that in Kingdom Hearts. That would have been cool. But
Or
now it's gonna
Sora's
be
like, yeah, I'm back in Tron again, you
and
know?
maybe we get to see what happened to Tron because he had been corrupted. But now that they're doing
Hmm.
this crap, like I just don't know, man. I'm just so disappointed, especially if it's gonna be like it might be a reboot. That's the worst part. Like, don't do a damn reboot. Like, continue what you already had, you
Hmm.
assholes.
Yeah. Sora's about to come in and he's gonna be like, who's this guy?
Oh my god.
He's like, he looks like he's morbing.
Oh god. And then he morbed all over those guys.
Yeah, he morbed all over the Heartless. Oh god.
Oh my gosh. Jesus Christ.
Jesus. Yeah.
But anyway, the point is, this seems really lame. We're gonna have to see what
Yeah.
happens. I'm not excited for this. This sucks. And like I said, this continues our trend of the week of our topic of adaptations done wrong.
The fact that you it started with Jared Leto's, that immediately made it bad.
I
Like
know, doesn't
I
it?
heard Jared Leto's Tron 3. I'm like, oh hell no.
Yeah, it like instantly ruins your day. It's like, oh,
Yeah.
oh my god. Yeah. That's it for the news, guys. Whole mix of disappointment this week.
Yeah, really was. Yeah.
Oh my god, this week is just full of like disappointment.
Although the greatest thing was one of the greatest things was well yeah, the milestone, that was it basically.
Yeah, basically your stuff was pretty good. Then I talked about some stuff that was kind of cool, like the Last of Us first episode and the Nighty Show, but then
Yeah.
everything else was like pretty disappointing.
Yeah. No, yeah, Velma was pretty cool. I'm curious.
Oh, oh no, shut up. Oh god. Oh well, to close it off, I kind of want to be like a little bit more of a positive note. Um, it's still kind of middle of the road. It's not perfect, but I do think it's something that's at least kind of fun. So at least, like I said, at least it doesn't end on like a sour note. And since we're talking about adaptations, and since I mentioned Persona earlier, my topic of the day or whatever, the thing I think maybe people should check out if they can, is Persona 4 the animation. Now, a lot of video games when they get adapted into anime, a
It
lot of
doesn't
them
go.
a lot of them aren't great. For instance, the
Mhm.
Persona 5 animation,
Was
I
boring.
I didn't like it. Same thing with the third one, based on the third game. It wasn't that great. It was kind of I thought. And then other games too, like the World Ends With You one was kind of middle of the road. There's a lot of stuff that I feel like could have done better. And even this one, I'm not going to say is perfect, but something that I think makes it worth watching, that makes it really fun, is that as it adapts the story of the games, the characterization they give the main character and like a lot of like the quotes and moments, those are really fun.
Oh, that's pretty cool.
Because if anyone knows, the whole point of the Persona games is that you play as they call them a silent protagonist because they don't really talk much, but you can still kind of get their personality from some clues. You know what I mean?
Hmm.
Like I think the fifth, the guy from Persona 5, you can definitely tell he's a guy that likes to keep his head down, acts very shy, but he loves, being a phantom thief. You can see that he really enjoys it, and he loves taunting his enemies, and you can tell he really likes adventure and being a rebel based on how he acts and like when he's, smiling and he's like showing off and stuff. And you can tell he really likes being a show off and being a rebel and being a phantom thief.
He's
That's
just
the
very I don't know if I would say introvert, but he's like very, yeah, because of how he is in public, secretly that's like stuff he wants to do, basically.
Exactly. Like in
Hmm.
public, he just acts very shy. He acts like more reserved. But it makes sense too if you know his background and what happened to him. So
Yeah.
And then the character for the third one, they always call him an emo for a reason. The whole point is that this character, he always has like his headphones on. He always kind of keeps his head low. He doesn't really talk much. He is like a very quiet, kind of shy, kind of emo. You know what I mean? So that's his characterization. Like it kind of seems to be canon across, different games in the series. This guy in the middle, though, the Persona 4 character, he feels like he can kind of go either way. Honestly, based on like the game, there are some very goofball answers, but you don't really know if they're canon. Whatever.
Yeah.
I feel like he's a really blank slate. What makes it fun though is then the animation though, they make him a total weirdo Giga Chad, where all of the weird choices you can pick as dialogue in the game, that's basically his personality.
Oh, wow.
Like when they're playing the King's game, the King's game where they play like they have the little sticks and whoever gets like the king gets to like make choices about what the other people do, right?
Yeah, I've heard about it. Yeah.
Like when they're playing the King's game, he's like a total Chad that makes like a girl like sit in his lap and like I don't know, just like really crazy stuff. And he's like always snarky, he's really sarcastic. He says stuff that comes out of nowhere. Like, oh my god, like the adaptation of the story is fine, but I'm telling you, it's watching him and the weird stuff he says and how he acts. That's what makes it really worthwhile. Like they like made him really interesting and weird.
Yeah, that's pretty cool. Especially that the Kings one, that is so funny that he took advantage of that moment. He's like, yeah, sit on my lap.
Yeah, he has like a ghost on his lap, I think.
Yeah.
And I don't remember what else happens. It's been a while since I watched it and played the game, but I know he's like a total like Giga Chad during like the King's
Oh,
game.
that sounds very awesome. Yeah.
And then like he says some like funny stuff too, like some funny quotes. And like, it's just great, man. This is really funny. Like I said, all like the weird options you could pick, he basically that's his personality.
Oh, that's pretty lit.
Yeah, it's pretty funny. So yeah, that's my thing that I recommend for the week. I think that if you want to watch an adaptation of a game to anime, that's pretty good. I would say more than okay. Especially
Yeah.
I said because of the characterization and all like the funny moments. I would say watch Persona for the animation.
Nice.
Yeah. And especially as I said, it's like Persona season right now with all the games finally being out on all the systems. Well, not all the games, at least 3, 4, and 5. But with 3, 4, and 5 being out on all systems and all that good stuff, it's time to play the games, time to watch the some of the anime and stuff, enjoy.
Yeah.
So
I
yeah.
can't wait for Persona 2 to come out so we can finally fight Hitler again.
Oh my god, that's like the whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, people are wondering if the first and second ones will ever get any attention.
Hmm.
Who knows? That list is so weird. By now, I feel like they could have made a Persona 6, but I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah, we have to see.
But anyway, guys, that's going to be it for this week. As you can see, a lot of bad adaptations, but there was some good ones too. It wasn't totally terrible. And like I said, at least it started off positive that, hey, Legend of Jonathan hit 100 subscribers. Good for him.
Yeah, man. Again, yeah, for the people who did subscribe from your channel, thank you. The people who are listening to the podcast on other platforms, I recommend that you subscribe to WEEB'S channel and my channel. I definitely recommend that. And even the people who are listening to this on the channel too, if you guys haven't subscribed yet, I would recommend that you guys check out my channel and check out my content and subscribe, and obviously, I can't force them, but like check it out. And I hope if you guys like it, I would recommend that you guys subscribe,
All right, there you go. That's all you can really do. Just, take a shot. Hopefully people like your stuff,
Yeah.
They give you a chance.
Yeah.
Alrighty, guys. With that being said, though, that is the end of our podcast. Thanks for listening. Thanks for supporting us. All that good stuff.
Yep,
We'll try to be
guys.
back next week as always, and we'll see what we can do. And that's it for now. Later, guys. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.